Okay, another video, and I guess I'll call this one's preferences, and I'll show you what we're doing. First thing off, this is a good page to have. I guess if you put preferences for Cubase in a window, this will pop up. But this shows you where all the preferences are stored, and you'll sort of understand that better. So it's showing you where it is on the Mac and on the PC. So there's 4 preferences that I think will be helpful that I'm going to show you. The first one, let's just do this one first. So when you guys use the template I sent you, and if you go up here to colors, it'll be like this. And if you hold over it, it'll tell you what that's for. So there's a color scheme already. Now, if you open another project, this will be gone. But if I click this and say set track color to default, and if I click that, then anything I open will have this as the default color. Now, these down here that say mix are for my mix colors. This is very helpful if you can do this. Sorry. You can also do it over here. So say this, you can actually click over here too, and then there's the strings, and I click that, and I can change the color. So that's the first thing. If we want to match our colors together, that will be helpful for me if you can do that. These also have color schemes. So again, back to the colors, you'll see something called these sub ones have to do with folders. But one of these are going to be called like temp track. Oh, there it is. Temp track and marker track and piano writing and tempo. And what this does is when this color coded right, I can actually hit buttons on my keypad to say just show me strings, or just basically it's saying just show me these colors or tracks that with this color is the way this is set up. So that's the first preference that you could have, that we could all be sort of coordinated. And all you would have to do again is open the template that I sent you, and you should have this, and then click that, and then all your sessions after that should have that. Of course, if you start with the temp track always, it should have that as well. Okay, the next one. This is where it starts to get a little confusing. So if you can see, for me, if I click on my quantize button, I have the normal just hard quantize things, and then I have a bunch of these groove quantize ones, and these are ones that I like. But this one that says main is pretty much the one I use all the time. And I'm going to show you how to get this into your system. Now, the one thing Cubase does that I do not like is if I click this, and this is part of the session, the next session I open will have this as well. I wish this was locked to the particular session, but it actually becomes almost like a preference. So the next one I go to, it will have this. So if you use something different, you would have to probably go over here and rather let me know, or you could, somewhere in here, there's what's called a notepad. You would have to let me know. You'd have to say, hey, I used a different one. Because I don't even know where the notepad is. Anyway, this doesn't matter. Note expression. Yeah, somewhere there's somewhere in there's one. You'd think it would be in the Windows. Project maybe. Notepad, I think I saw it. Oh, here it is. So you could click this and you could type in, I use this. And I think if you save it like this, this might pop up first so that you're aware. Okay, so the way you do that is in your Cubase, I sent you some files, and this is where this is helpful. This shows you, what did I say? Here Here it is, quantize presets. So this gives you the afterwards things. Now on Windows it gives you a way to do it that I really don't do it that way. What I do is I go to Windows. I know where it is, so, and you go to the main drive. And then you have to go to users, and then whatever you've named your computer. Mine's named Brady. And then you go to app data, and then roaming, and then you go, and it's kind of crazy all the places you have to go. And then Steinberg. And although you can, let's see if I can do this. See, I can pin this. See this, pin this to quick access. And now it shows up over here. So you can just easily go here if you want. You have to pick the Cubase version you're using. And then you'll see that you'll already have one in here. Nope, it's in presets. See, you already have this RAM preset. So this is kind of your grooves. So if you take the one I sent you over here, you're in here. If you drag this and put it in here and copy and paste, now you could maybe replace it essentially. You can take this one and store it somewhere if you want, but this one has the normal stuff you have. It just has those extra ones. So if you do that, then the next time you open Cubase, it'll have that list of grooves in there. Now, since we're talking about grooves, let me show you how to work this. So right now, if I was to play something, this grid is actually still a solid grid, even though it says Brady Ellis. You have to move this to use quantize. Now you can see, let's see if it'll do it. Okay, so right here I've clicked on beat 1, but you go over here and you're not totally on beat 1. Okay, but if I go over to bar line and I come over here to 1, see it shows 1, 1, 1, 1. So it is exactly there. So you can see that's offset a little bit for the groove purposes. Okay, so that's groove. So we talked about grooves, we talked about colors. The next is Media Bay. So on my Media Bay, and this is actually, I just learned this, is really slick, I think. So in Media Bay, here's a file, and some of these haven't been done. So, all right, let's go to this. And look at all this information on this. So this is telling you the rating, which I just do them all at 5. The tempo, if this had a key, it'd be on there. This tells you what family it came from, what it is. It could have a subgroup. This style tells you the style. And you can use that up here too. So like if I went up here and said, I want this to show style. Now say I want a drum loop that is in a quirky style. I click that and it'll just show that on there. Huh, I don't have a lot of that. I think I have more, on the quirky one I think I have more percussion loops. Yeah, there's more percussion loops. So if you were to take these samples, this metadata is already embedded on the file and would show up on yours if you had the Media Bay preference. And so how do you do that? Well, just like how we just did quantizing, you would again go to, I think they're here too, this list of stuff I sent you, and one's called Media Defaults. And so you'd go to that same place that I sent you to. Now I've created a quick access, right? And you can see that there's this one called Media Defaults. So if I was to drag Media Defaults on here and replace this, then mine would have this extra information that I have set up. And let me show you what that is. So whenever you have Media Bay, it comes with like these normal things. Media, I mean, some of these are basic, right? But these down at the bottom, these various ones, are ones that I have created. And see, they're not even showing up. So I have to click these. I'll just have all of them. Now when I unclick this, they'll show up here for naming purposes. So this is showing what this is. If I wanted to name it something else, you know, I can pick any of these. I can also double click it and name it whatever, and then that'll be added to the list. Like something like this is going to have a long list. So you, and if you're saying, well, I don't see it on here, well, you can go to more and say, well, it's actually a choir, and you can see choirs on the list there that maybe didn't initially show up here. Okay, so that's how you get, I showed you how you get that media defaults, and then these things will show up here, and this is how you get them to appear. And then over here, to get them to appear, you'd go over here, and you want to go to this various ones, because these are the ones I've made or added to, I guess, because I still use the family name, which is here, and the ratings that are here, and I use their musical tempo and pitch or key as well. Okay, so the last one is, okay, presets or key commands. So if you go over here, I'm making, here's my list of key commands. And what's cool about Cubase is you can have a preset of key commands. Meaning, you know, say you have your own key commands and you bring that preset, and you could go to someone else's system and it could have the way you have it set up. So the way you do that is, see right here, mine says Brady Final, and I do update this one. Now the nice thing about this on the key commands is if you were to get, I'll show you. If you were to get this thing later, where is it? This Touch OSC thing. Let me open up mine. I mean, I could just, if you had Touch OSC, I could just give you this, and if you switched it to my key commands, then these buttons would correspond with the functions. And it's just not this. There's like pages of things. Dorco works for Dorco, so that's the only one that's different. But all these others, so here are the colors. If I click on a track and I hit this and I have all the presets, then that track will be the color of bass. Visibility, I can go in here and click this, and whatever has the color of keys will show up. Here I can say show me everything. Just show me tracks with data. So all those kind of things. You know, all these things do something that correspond with the key commands. So how do you get the key commands in? Similar thing as before. So here's the key, my key command essentially, and you will put that here. You will replace this, and then it'll just show up on the list. You'd have to then, yeah, you'd have to come over here to key commands, and you'd have to, the Brady Final should show up on the list, and hit OK, and that all works. And that's really, this isn't as much of a helpfulness to me as the other things are. But what this could do is, if you want, like I said, if you want to get this Touch OSC, I mean, you'd have stuff already programmed that I did. I mean, it works great on an iPad. It does also work on a phone. A little trickier to see, but just something to think about. Anyway, I hope that all is helpful. And so these will be in your folder. Thank you very much.